What's up, five fan? What a weekend it was. Freedom 250. All right, the event was palpable. It was electrifying. And here are my thoughts about the event. When the event started, it was second round knockout, the first fight, second round knockout, second, and then it became a trend. And then when it got to the co-main event, Alex versus Ciryl Gane, the atmosphere was palpable. It was electrifying, and then everybody's eye was glued to the screen. No shadow of that. Ciryl Gane is a good fighter, but we must also admit that Ciryl Gane is a cheat, right? You saw those multiple shots on the back of Alex's head. That's unacceptable. I spoke with some of my buddies who are also fight fans who watched the fight, and like those multiple shots at the back of Alex head, that's unacceptable. And be like you're capping, you're an Alex fan and all that. I'm an Alex fan. I wanted Alex to win. All right, but you need to be fair and sincere. It's not just so much about winning. Ciryl Gane does anything to win. He just wants to win, even though it means he would bypass the rule, and as you're getting away with it. But I think the UFC officials should do something about it before it gets out of hand, because it's not so much about winning. You also consider the health of your opponent. Medically, it's risky, and the rule was not just brought up to reduce having an advantage, or what's it called. It's because of the health implication, and I think it's something the UFC officials should look into, because Ciryl Gane has never fought clean. It's always, and how can we tell you're actually a good fighter if you've never fought clean, if you always cheat to win a fight? All right, that being said, let's talk about the main event: Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. What a fight! From the walkout to when the octagon was closed, the whole place was quiet. Everybody didn't know what to expect, and everybody's eye was glued to the screen, and we were like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And Justin killed it. Like, he gave his all. But I've seen a lot of comments, a lot of trolling. Okay, he might have been way too confident, or he might have said things that make people perceive him as a proud and arrogant person. But we must admit that Ilia Topuria is a warrior. You saw that third round. The doctor said he could barely see. Man, you need to stop this fight. And then he was like, no, I can still continue. It takes the heart of a lion and the heart of a fighter to continue in that condition. So, and he made it to the fourth round. Fortunately, he couldn't continue the fight after the fourth round. But for him to continue in that condition, you saw his face, he could barely see, and then even at that, he was still being technical. And I feel the mistake he made was he underestimated Justin Gaethje, which is one of the factors that contributed to his loss. He wanted to be a man of his word, that he was going to knock Justin out in the first round, and then we saw what he did in that first round. He was this close to knocking him out. So he was not being technical. It was just like, okay, I want to end this fight in the first round. And we've known Justin Gaethje to be a fighter who has endurance. So after the first round, and then the second round, he attempted armbar, two submission, and then it didn't work out. I guess that was when Ilia started getting tired, and Justin just kept going and kept going. He won. Do you know the greatest part of this fight was Justin's walkout song? I love it. And Ilia did a show for Justin, and then Justin walked out with a song that the grave cannot hold him down. What a moment, and it represents what that day was meant for. United States was not supposed to get that freedom that time, rationally, but somehow they got it so rationally, and then we think Justin was not supposed to get that win because he was an underdog, but somehow he won. and then that's a perfect representation of what the event represents. All right, tell me what's your take on the event. Let me know in the comment section. Do where to like, do where to share, and do where to subscribe. Please and please, Ciryl Gane, or whatever your name is, you should stop cheating. As a matter of fact, I feel like there should be an action. There should be an action, maybe a suspension or something, because he can't keep going. Or maybe if he does it again, they should remove from his point or disqualify the match and disqualify and give the win to the opponent. He can't keep putting his opponent's health at risk. All right, that's my take. Peace and love from Ola Dejos.